So throughout the years it took me to write these poems, I was romantically involved with someone more than 30 years older than myself. The partnership was also a creative one, producing albums of songs as well as a shared book of love poems called The Love Sheet. But from the start, we both knew, perhaps more intimately than most couples, that time was limited. The poems and songs we wrote together, and certainly many of the poems I wrote for this collection, therefore became an attempt to curate the slow process of saying goodbye. For most of that time, writing poems and songs provided the glue that bound our lives together. Later, as our needs slowly diverged, the poems and songs became attempts to frame particular moments of shared experience, gravity-defying rituals aimed at slowing time down. And so what follows is basically poems, the snapshots. Of course, all such attempts are ultimately doomed to failure, attempts to slow time down, certainly as far as the body is concerned. Though the slow intimacy of celebrating closeness becomes in the poems the slow intimacy of letting go what cannot be preserved or held on to. Deep listening. It happened again yesterday, in the middle of a fine conversation about sublime and lofty things. Something inside me detached and pulled softly at the pit of my stomach as you stepped away for a moment to pour wine for an honored guest. I could still hear the separate music in our four voices, but the words had gone out of range. The only detailed information then came from the sum of my blood, subterranean, pre-verbal, calling for your touch across the table. There are no words for such music, not in company, not when we're alone. All I could say for certain then, to myself, under my breath, was that all lofty things raised up in defiance of gravity, all the immortal words and all great music seemed to be reconfigured there, rooted again in the fire that sings and sings unheard in our hidden blood. So, defying gravity, immortal words. Not mine, but still. Transparent things. After the diagnosis, it was after a cancer diagnosis. Today all things are transparent, out of time, beyond language. Even this face I have chosen as I walk into your red room, I know your eyes will see through to the emptiness behind it. Bereft of speech, I sit down next to you, take both your hands. We have entered a world where each word must be weighed, calibrated, interrogated for any signs of untruth, imprecision. I would not dare to intrude here armed with magical thinking. Already we are being distilled, you and I, refined until each fiber, each breath, each slow, deliberate sentence rings out, never to be repeated. Come, take these hands, feel their brittleness. Now and to come. This moment, this narrow space is all there is. The next poem I'm going to read is a fragment from a longer poem called Table of Elements, about, go off mic, and it's about a ritual that my beloved and I devised after my father died, because we felt that his death was not sufficiently ritualized in the family. But what I can what I see looking at that poem now is how we were also rehearsing the ritual of our goodbye that would have to be said. Today, my beloved and I sit under the open sky on an almost empty beach. We've come to say goodbye, to celebrate you as you set out on your very last journey. We've brought a simple boat made out of shell, a stick for a mast, a paper sail, emblazoned with your praise for the ocean, where your blood turned into foam for a moment. There are clear shards of sound from the waves as they advance and retreat, from the cries of gulls that fly overhead, not caring about us, who have nothing to give them. There are shards of light also, but I will say nothing about them. A cell phone camera is recording what may be shared of this moment afterwards. We wait for the waves to take your vessel, and I believe for a moment you with it. We wait a long time before it happens, so that I am ready when it does, when first the sail goes, and then the mast, and finally it is only the two of us sitting here, acknowledging the space you occupied when we could reach across and hold you. I could sing you the song the waves sung to us, sung as if to say that what we'd lost would always return. I could speak of the circle of small shells around yours, the opening that suggested we might learn to let go.